Hello, and welcome back to the Nourished and Thriving Mama podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that so many of us wrestle with. And I know for myself, this was a huge struggle, which is feeling like we're not losing the baby weight fast enough. Now, if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, why is this taking me so long? Or caught yourself comparing yourself to other moms who had babies around the same time as you, or maybe even had their babies a little bit after you, and you're looking at them and seeing their transformation and how they don't look like they even had a baby, or looking at other people on Instagram and seeing how quickly they've bounced back from having a baby. And you're like, what is taking me so long? This episode is 1000% for you. I'm going to share a little bit about my own struggles with this and some lessons I learned along the way that I am so grateful for actually having to learn this lesson. And I'll give you some practical tips to kind of help shift your mindset a little bit to make it easier for you to embrace a more sustainable approach that's not only rooted in actually succeeding in the long term with the weight loss, but also taking care of your own body and coming from a place from love and not the place from needing to fix yourself. So grab a coffee, a tea, your Stanley cup, whatever you got. Or hey, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're feeding your baby, I see you, mama. But let's get into it. So after gaining 60 pounds during my pregnancy pretty rapidly, I was beyond eager to get back to feeling like myself. I mean, I could not wait to ditch those maternity clothes that I felt like I was wearing for freaking forever because I had to start wearing them so early on. I mean, I remember Googling at how many weeks do people typically start wearing maternity clothes? And I was like, oh, I shouldn't even be wearing these yet, but I needed to because I was already gaining really quickly. I just wanted to hurry up and get back to being me again. I just wanted to feel confident in my skin, but in reality, that is not something that was going to happen overnight. That was not something that would even happen within the first year of postpartum for me and for a lot of other moms out there. Now, of course, right after having my daughter, I had an initial weight loss and it was promising and it was exciting. I was like, oh, awesome. Look, I'm already down to here. But then I hit a little bit of a slower period. And I know this from a scientific standpoint. I lost a lot of water weight. Obviously, my baby was born. And I was probably starting to tap into actual fat loss, which we know fat loss takes time. But I was still stuck in these maternity clothes that I really wanted to freaking get rid of because I felt like I was wearing the same couple dresses that were now, after having to wear a brace around these dresses, they were all scratched up from the Velcro. And I was just so done with these clothes. I wanted to throw them in the trash and get back to my other clothes. And I felt so frustrated because I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I still look kind of pregnant. I should be looking better than this. Things should be progressing a little bit faster. And it felt like even though I was kind of doing the right things, I wasn't seeing enough changes happening. And it kind of started getting me spiraling a little bit. So in my mind, it seemed like the obvious answer would be, okay, well, let's eat less. Let's cut some more things out. Let's maybe try to work out a little bit harder or a little bit longer. Let's try to do more. And so that's exactly what I did. And you know what? It completely backfired on me because my milk supply started to tank. And as a new mom, and I was back to work and I was pumping and I was seeing those bottles barely filling up, I panicked because I was like, this is how I feed my daughter. Did I just screw myself up and now I am not going to have a milk supply to be able to feed her because I'm trying to speed up my own freaking weight loss? So I was checked real fast right there. It was like my body was telling me like, hey, sorry, but you need to take a more sustainable approach if you want to be able to feed your daughter at the same time. And looking back at this was the very best lesson I could have ever gone through because it literally forced me to stop and just rethink everything. Rethink my approach for my weight loss, knowing that my priority was to be able to feed my daughter. And if I wanted to be able to do that, I needed to eat in a way that was going to nourish my body to be able to produce milk for her. But then still I could balance it a little bit with being able to lose a little bit. But I needed to take a more sustainable and slower approach and not get so I need things to happen quickly. Which in this world is really hard because we're so used to fast results. Like I can order a package right now and it could come in a few hours from now, like same day delivery. That's the world that we're living in. We want things super fast. But that is not how sustainable weight loss works. And you cannot have it super fast because it won't stay. And I've seen it time and time again, but we'll go more into that a little bit later. But here's ultimately what I realized. The harder I pushed myself, the more my body kind of just pushed back. Restriction, the overexertion, they were not sustainable for my life as a mom and the goals that I had. They were actually harmful. I was trying to run on empty. I was getting nowhere with that. And I was hurting my milk supply, which, as we know, that's liquid gold right there. So I had to cut that out. I had to go back to the sustainable approach. I really needed to be taking better care of myself, not thinking how fast can I shrink my body back down, and get back to my old clothes. Like I needed to give myself a little more grace. And that is a very hard thing when you're in the moments and you're not feeling great and you're not feeling comfortable, to take the advice of giving yourself some grace. Because I heard people say that over and over again. But I was like, okay, I'll give myself some grace when I get to where I want to be. Like I would have kept pushing that back instead of focusing right now on giving myself the grace that I needed while still working towards my goals in a more sustainable way. But I can totally look at that now from the standpoint of where I am and how long I've kept my weight off, that is kind of what I did need. So the reality check of seeing that milk supply tank, seeing what was happening with that, and then seeing when I bumped the volume of food back up a little bit, how the milk supply started to come back. And I was like, that was a reinforcement of, yeah, okay, this is what I should be doing. And, anytime I got a little inkling that, maybe let's cut a little bit more, I'd see the supply start to go down a little bit. And so then I'd have to eat a little bit more. So it was this balancing act. And that actually really taught me how to balance my food for myself. So with the knowledge of now knowing that I needed to eat a little bit more with time and staying consistent, the weight came off. And you know what? It stayed off. 4 years now we're looking at. I've kept the 70-pound weight loss that I had off for 4 years. And this weight loss that I went through was much different than any other time I had lost weight in the past. In college, I had put on 30 pounds from what I swear all came from the antidepressants that the doctors put me on temporarily. And I went on to losing 40 pounds, and I did it in a way where I was eating as little as possible, following a workout routine. I was walking a lot to and from classes at school. And then when school was over, everything I had been doing to lose the weight, I stopped doing when I came home from school because I was in a completely different routine and thought, I lost the weight already. I'm good. I'm done. And then slowly started gaining all that weight back. And then kind of gaining and losing the same 10 pounds over and over again, stuck in that diet cycle because it was like, oh, cut back, lose the weight, stop, gain it back. Cut back, lose the weight, stop, gain it back. I was stuck in that diet cycle, which I know so many people get trapped in that as well. But the reason why my 70-pound weight loss has stayed off was because the approach I took was different. I made small, manageable changes that I could actually keep up with on a day-to-day basis that are going to actually stay in my life. They didn't disappear. And I prioritized nourishing myself, not just cutting out as much as I possibly can. The macros that I was doing was prioritizing protein and veggies and making sure that I'm getting a well-balanced plate. I was incorporating movement that has not stopped. Some of the exercises have changed from the very beginning because I could barely do much. So a lot of the beginning workouts were like bar or walking or little stroller exercises. And now I'm playing soccer in a co-ed league and boxing and doing a lot more what you'd think of as more high intensity kind of stuff. But I also started to actually prioritize rest because in the past, I was like, okay, let's work out 7 days a week, or let's work out 6 days a week and we'll have one rest day. Now I'm like 3 or 4 days, I think. And I incorporate walks, every day, but that's more of like a mindfulness kind of thing. That's not really, that's not geared towards like my exercise routine. So there's more balance there. There's so much more balance. And that was something I wasn't doing previously, which is why this weight loss has been successful. And then also the habits and the routines that I've built are now just second nature. It's just something that I do. I don't even think about it. I don't even think about Tuesdays and Thursdays is when I rush off during lunch and go do a boxing workout. That is just what I do. My schedule is blocked and that is what happens. Yes, in mom life, things pop up, but we're able to be flexible because we learn how to balance that. And if you have the balance and you have the ongoing habits, you're going to stay successful. And if you take that approach and take the sustainable steps to making it happen, you lose the weight and you keep it off. We have to have the end result that we want in mind from the very beginning, because we don't want how we lose the weight to look that dramatically different than how we plan on maintaining it. The only real difference between when I was losing to how I'm maintaining now is honestly just the difference of like, I'm eating a little bit more. Maybe I'm having a couple more snacks in the day. It's not this huge like, okay, well, while I was dieting, I'd never had any donuts. I never had any bread. I never had any rice. I never had any pasta. No, I had all of that stuff. I just incorporated it and balanced it, which I teach to my clients. But let me tell you, there should never be this kind of thinking that I'm just going to be doing this until this. Or worse, you start to feel like you're going to get tired. You're like, okay, I am tired of what I'm doing right now and I can't wait to be done. Those thoughts are red flags in your weight loss. And if you have any of that going on, like, oh, I'm just going to cut this out until I'm done with the weight loss and I'm going to add this back in. Those are red flags. Those are signs that you're not going to keep your weight off. I've seen it time and time again. I mean, I've been working with people in weight loss for 12 freaking years. I've seen them lose and I've seen people regain, and I've seen the common stories and the common threads of what happens with people. And I've seen from myself what has worked for 4 years. And that's why I'm so passionate about coaching postpartum moms. I will never promote restrictive diets, quick fixes, detoxes. I'm even on the fence about the 75-day hard challenge because I know it's like geared towards a mental toughness kind of thing, but people are using that as like a diet thing. And I am totally against that because it's not sustainable. Like that's not going to be something that you're going to be able to keep doing. If you're a mom, I don't think you're going to have the time to do all the things that are a part of that. So I will never promote those things because they don't work for you in the long run and they are not setting you up for long-term success. Like I said, we have to be thinking of the end result in the very beginning with what we're doing. You have to be creating what you want to do and continue doing for the rest of your life if you want to be able to actually keep the weight off that you lose. And like I said, I know it's hard in the moments of being postpartum and wanting to get back to feeling like yourself again. And it's hard to take other people's advice of take the sustainable approach, slow and steady wins the race, give yourself some grace, because you're just like, ugh, I just want to get to where I want to be. But let me tell you, from the place of somebody who's kept the weight off, if you could fast forward to future you who's kept the weight off for several years and be able to have a conversation with yourself, I am like 1,000% sure that the future version of you is going to tell you, girl, chill out. Keep doing what you're doing. Take care of you. You are incredible. You are amazing. You've gone through so much. Give yourself some grace because you're going to get there and it's going to happen. You just need to keep doing what you're doing. And I can say that because like these are the things that I'm thinking at this current moment that I would go back and tell myself. Like, don't mess around with trying to cut stuff out because it's going to hurt your milk supply. Take it sustainable. You're going to have less stress and you're just going to keep doing it because it's going to be easy, second nature. You're going to build routines that you're going to keep forever. You'll get there. I had to learn these things, but they didn't click right away. I learned them like a little bit later. But I'm trying to kind of speed that process up for you. You can hear it from somebody who has already been through it, lost 70 pounds, feels so much better, has kept the weight off, and I'm telling you to give yourself some grace. Please don't brush it off. You want to set yourself up for long-term success. So if you're currently sitting here feeling like your weight loss isn't fast enough, here is what I want you to know. Consistency with the right actions is going to beat speed every single time. And if you're losing right now in a way that feels manageable, and it isn't making you feel miserable, and it isn't making you feel like you're missing out on things, then you're doing it right. So here's a few tips to help you keep going. You got to reframe your progress. And you need to actually celebrate wins that are beyond the scale. Like, do you have more energy? Are you sleeping better? Are you feeling stronger? Are you lifting heavier? Are your moods better? Are you less snappy? Are you actually enjoying little moments with your kids? Those things matter beyond a freaking number that's on the scale. And, are your clothes fitting looser? Are you starting to be able to almost fit back into some things? Those are signs of progress beyond what's on the scale. The scale is not the be all end all. Like, the scale should not control your life that much. There are other ways that you're going to see progress along the way. The scale will catch up. You just stay consistent. And you want to trust the process. Like I said, if you stay consistent with the right actions, it's going to happen. And these real results take time, but they're going to last. You're setting yourself up so much better for long-term success if you just stay consistent and take the sustainable approach. And I highly encourage you to seek support. Like, you don't have to do this alone. You can surround yourself with other people who will encourage you and uplift you. You can reach out to me. I have program options of various levels of support. I have some free things. I have this podcast that you're listening to. There are a lot of ways that you can feel supported and not feel so alone while you're doing this. I created my program because there were some pieces in my own journey that were missing that I needed to have. And part of my program incorporates a group dynamic because I felt like even though I had joined some groups and was trying to feel like I found something that was supportive, there was nobody who was like in the same position as me. And so that's why I created my program, to have a group aspect to it, was because that was something I was missing that I really wish that I would have had along the way. Now, if anything from here resonates with you and you're ready to learn more about how to lose weight in a way that works for your postpartum journey, fits into your life as a mom, I'd love for you to join my upcoming free masterclass that I'm holding called The 4 Secrets to Postpartum Weight Loss Success. If you're hearing this before December 11th, 2024, you can sign up and be on the live class. I'll put the link in the show notes. But if you're hearing this after December 11th, it already happened, but there'll be another way for you to be able to watch. I'd love to have a lot of you tune in. I'm going to be dropping some really great tips, tricks, strategies, and things that you can implement right away on that masterclass. I'm very excited about it. But I want you to remember that your body created life. That is huge. It deserves love. It deserves care. You are doing amazing, and I am cheering you every step of the way. And I just know how much better life gets when you feel better in your own body. But take the sustainable approach so you don't mess around with getting stuck in that yo-yo cycle of losing and gaining and losing and gaining. That's a horrible place to be in because you're constantly beating yourself up for why you gained the weight back and then torturing yourself to lose it again and then beating yourself up when you gain it again. Get out of there. Take my approach. Get help from me if you need it. So until next time, stay nourished and keep on thriving, mama. I will see you in the next episode.